So if I run this form, again, keep in mind, behind the scenes, you have two .cs files. One, whatever you called it, .designer.cs, and two, your own name of the file .cs. I've already said that names that you use for your forms, for your projects, for your controls, should all be meaningful names, right? Please see that they're meaningful names. Also, just for your information, that C# uses Pascal naming convention for naming classes, also for naming methods. It also uses it for naming methods. Now, for us, since we are putting the three-lettered abbreviation with every control, so it could be text, it could be button, and so on. So for us, the rest of the name is Pascal case, but that abbreviation makes it kind of camel case. But there is no, again, I repeat, there is no hard and fast convention as it is in Java. There is no hard and fast convention of naming controls. There are three options, and you can use whatever you like. You can go with the three-letter abbreviation like I am doing, and I have told you I'm only doing it because my book follows it, and therefore I want to just keep with the textbook. It's not necessary. Two, the second convention is you put the whole complete name of the control, like button, the whole word button, either in the front or at the back of the name of your control. Names of control, Pascal naming convention, please see that you give them good names. Don't leave them at button 1, button 2, and so on. If you do, then the code will have something like button 1 click, and I have no clue what it means. Okay. And so before you start your event, so before you start writing your code, please see that you have named all your controls properly. If by chance you don't and you double click on it, it creates an event handler, and we have to do a little bit of work to change the name of the method and change the connection and everything. It takes a little bit of time and effort. So why not do it before? But I'll show you how to do it in case you make a mistake. Anything that is extra in your code, any empty methods, I don't want to see any empty methods. Remove all of them, and I'll show you if you see an error, how to remove the error also. So this is what we had last week. I had keyboard access keys or shorthand keys. If you notice, all the buttons have a shorthand key. It needn't be the first letter of your name. It could be anything. Clear has L, exit has X, right? And the use of shorthand keys or keyboard access keys is for keyboard users. Everybody likes, not everybody, many people like to still use the keyboard. Also, I had showed you how to set the tab, right? I remember. If not, I'll kind of refresh your memory. So what is tab? Tab is the order. Tab order is the order in which when you press your tab key, how the tab moves from one control to the other. Now here, the only controls that the user can work with is the buttons. There's nothing else. I don't see an input box. I don't see radio buttons. I see nothing. We haven't done that yet, which will be our next job next week. So here, my obvious thing would be to go, you could go top to bottom, right to left. You could go right to left, top to bottom, whatever kind of looks okay, not randomly. And if the tab order is not set, you will lose marks. So your tab order must be set. So the first tab order I've given to English. So when my forms open up, notice how the English is highlighted. The button is highlighted. Now, if I use my tab key, it goes from English to Spanish and then from clear to print form to exit. Tab. It can be easily done. You can do it in the properties if you like, or you can use the tab order button here. And if you don't have that button, see that you just put it there. It is easy. Or you can always do it from edit, and there is a tab order there too. So my interface is ready, right? The maximize button is disabled because it doesn't make sense. If I had it, then it would really look odd, because if it's bigger, my form contents look very untidy. Also, I don't allow the user to change the size of my form by using the sizing handles. Even that is removed. Again, for the simple reason that if you do that, it will look untidy. If the user changes the size, it will look untidy. So you're just saying this is what I want it to look like. Also notice that when I execute my application, my form comes in the center of the screen. And there is no magic here. All you did, if you remember, we set the properties for all these things, right? I had properties that were associated with the form, and I set them to behave like this. So you have to take care that you do these things when you do your assignments. It's just, they just go without saying. But these common rules are also up on Blackboard for your information. Right. Okay, so these will work by default. The minimize, the maximize, and the cross automatically work by default. You don't have to do anything for them. Want to exit, this exit will not work, but we want to make it work, and you just close it using this cross, and the application closes. Now, just so that you know, while the application is running, you will notice that this one, do you see this red one? It's saying that it is running. Now keep in mind that sometimes, though you may not realize it, it will happen as you go and code more and more. You say, oh, I'm done, and you'll close this. But if you haven't written your code properly, you will see that this red still stays. That means in your code, somewhere there is an infinite loop that is going on. So just as a heads on. So when you close your application, ensure that there is no red rectangle on your toolbar. This says the application has exited. Sometimes if you do not write good code, or by mistake you've not done something that you were supposed to do, that red will stay there and it will say the application is running. So just so that you know that this is, when you see that it's done and gone, it should go. It should say the application has closed. Okay. So if you have this, we are ready to now code the event handlers for these buttons, right? So I've used a class button, and there are 5 instances of that button. English, Spanish, clear, print, form, and exit are the instances of the button class. Okay. My form has extended the form class from the library. Show you the different namespaces that are available that we will use. I've also used labels. The labels, I have used 3 labels here, and the 3 labels are basically objects of the label class from your library, right? So that's what we've used on this form. So you have used some inbuilt classes already. So now our next job is to write event handlers, and event handlers are simply those methods that will be invoked by default when that event is called on a particular control. So if you go to any control, let's take English because all of them are buttons, and go to this events, you will notice here are all the events that are associated with the button. They're predefined, right? They're not linked to anything yet. You see there is nothing in front of its name. There is nothing. You could write an event, and you can double click from here. You can start it from here and do it. I'll show you an easy way. So by default, why is click highlighted? Because click is the default event of a button. So when I double click on this button, automatically it will create a template for me. That's its default. Anytime you want to write it for anything else, come to that particular event, give in your method name here, whatever you like, and away it will go. Okay, so I'll show you what are the now, how does it create a template for me. So your first job before I leave the form, though I said I can always I know how, and I'll show you too, how to kind of come back to it. I'll double check that all of my controls, labels are not very important. This one is, right? So all my controls, I'll double check that they have a good name. So that's label message. That should be English button. That should be Spanish. That should be clear. Print form, or I've called it print. You could have called it print form, whatever you like, and exit. So everything is named properly. And even before you start, please see that you name your class properly. Notice how I've called it form hello world. Program hello world. Again, any meaningful name will do. And I've used Pascal naming convention. So you will use Pascal name as in Java. You will use Pascal naming convention in C# also. This one? Yeah. Okay, let me try. When I switch it off, I get a little. So let's see if we can do a kind of a. Is that better? Yeah. Okay, let me see if it's okay for me. I think it's not bad. Yeah, not bad. I'm good. Thank you. That's fine. Everybody okay with the lights? At the back, you're okay? You need those lights? Okay, even I need them, but it's not too bad for me. Okay, there we go. Right? So ensure that everything is named properly. You could forget. You can always change it afterwards, but I'll show you then what you'll have to do to take care of it. Now, let's start writing event handlers. Okay, let's start. They're called event handlers. So you'll have to learn to work with properties, which you already did in the properties window. You can set them there, which is much easier because designing is easy. You can always work with properties in your form, in your code, and I'll show you how as time progresses. 2, you have to learn how to write your own methods, which may take maybe a couple of, maybe one next week. I'll write a short method and show you. Plus, you also have to learn how to write event handlers, something that you haven't done in your maybe intro to Java yet. Definitely, you will do it in your advanced Java. So an event handler is just a method that handles the event associated with the control. And what events? You can have any number of events. The same event handler can work for more than one controls. You just have to link them. You may say, I want to do the same thing when you click this. I want to do the same thing when you click this. So you can associate everything. You will learn all this as you go on, one by one, step by step, right? Okay, so let's write the event handler for the English button. The easiest way is this. Double click on your English button. you will notice that I'll kind of make a bigger screen, right? So see what has happened. Now, by default, you have a few using statements at the top of your code. Now, this is one bad or good thing, whatever you would like to say, because they're already there. In Java, you usually say import. So you usually know which package you're using and which classes. Packages are automatically imported or used in C#. So as and when you will use a particular class, this the one that is disabled will get enabled on its own. So right now, see, there are few that are grayed out, but using system and using system.windows.form is active. So in C#, I don't necessarily know which packages have which classes. In Java, you come to know of it because you're doing your imports. Or if nothing else, when you type something, it says import is missing, so you know it. So bear with me, right? Few common ones I know, but maybe I'll have to check up a few. So I know collections, I know system, Windows, threading, and link. I mean, I've used a few, but I don't know everything about data or drawing, for example. It's just there. Please notice that there is a package statement at line number 11, which is your package in Java, and here it is called namespace, right? So you have, so like in package, it's the same concept here also. The namespace says all the forms within the same can, when you use your protected keyword, then they can use each other. For now, I'm only using public and private. Public normal, public partial class. I hope you remember partial. We discussed it last week. Partial because my project has two classes, one the designer file and one this code file. So they're partial, both together make your project. So the word partial simply says there is another part to it. Okay, and the other part, for if you remember, is your designer.cs. That's your other part. And you will again see a partial at the top of it. You'll again see partial here. So this is being created for you as you have created the form. Everything that you've done in the form is here. Everything. When you created your labels, when you gave them a name, when you changed their size, everything. There's all here. And I would like to bring your attention to something that you just did. Which button did we click? I think we clicked the English button. So let's look at, there it is, button English, and look at line number 77. All of you must have this extra line now in your designer file. It has nothing to do with design. The rest is all design. You called it button English. You gave it a certain size. You made its tab index as 0. You put text onto it. You gave it a, you didn't, but it gives it a visual style. You can change the style, which is true. This line number 77 has done a wiring. This is called event wiring, right? It has done a wiring between the button and the code, the procedure that you will write. And that procedure is called button English _ click. The template that it created for you, if you go back to your CS file, please notice this is the template it has created for you when you double clicked on your English button. It created an event handler called button English _ click. Now these names you can change if you want. It's no hard and fast rule that you have to keep these names, but they're meaningful. What is it saying? It is saying this is the event handler for the click event for button English. So they're not bad names at all, but you can change them if you like. Right? So when you double clicked on it, this is what was created for you. So this empty event handler has been wired with your click event of your button English. So notice what does it say on the left hand side? This button English click, right? So the click event of the button English has been associated with the event handler, this event handler, the one that just got created. So this connection was automatically done for you because you double clicked on it. If you want to write your own code and make a connection and so on, we'll have to do a little more programming. Okay. So this is done for you. That means now you don't have to do anything, but there's no magic. There's no magic. How does the event handler for English button gets associated with it is by the help of this statement at line number 77.
Like if we change the name in the,
then you will have to change it here also.
It's not
no, it's not automatically. It won't do it. Right. That's where you will start getting errors. So if you change the name there, right? If you if you create an independent method in your code, then you have to link it. I'll show you, yeah, either this or I'll show you another easy way also, right? And that easy way is what I was showing you in design. You can go to design here, you can go to its events, and here you can go here and you can choose what you've written and you can click and it will now make that connection. But if you write something on your own event handler, you have to make the connection somewhere. Do it in design and it will create that code. If you want to write that code, which I would say keep away from, then you can write it and do it here also. So if I create a method here, I mean, just for the heck of it. So I'm just doing it. I mean, I don't need it, but I'm just doing it. So if I create a private method, I just say the return type is void. I'm calling it try. Okay, I'm just calling it try. You may not do it at all. Don't do it at all because I'm just showing you some. Oh, I already have this. What is, oh, try is a reserved word. Try is a reserved word, right? I've written this method. It's just a method. I've done nothing. I've just written a method. Now, if you want, you can come to your design here and let's see if I can go to a button and here. No, it's not showing it. That means I'll have to maybe add. There are a few things you have to follow rules because we don't do it often. You know what? I'll do it when the time comes because right now let's keep it easy. Yes. Yeah, we've already done that. It was another question. Okay, there was another question. That's okay, right? Maybe you're right. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can see that try. No, I think I have to give it a certain parameters or something. It's only seeing the method that we created. The other way, of course, could have been kind of put it here. Try to something like this. And then it would create it. This is another way you could just give the name there and it will create an empty stub here. That's another way of doing it. Then you don't have to bother of connecting it. So I gave a name there and I just said enter and it has created.
To the designer project, then it will have like.
Yes. So what did we do it with button, right? We did it with button, right? Okay, so let's go to the designer again. There it is. Like that's easy. Then I don't have to bother. I just write the name there and I enter, but you can do it the opposite way also. Maybe it just needs the right parameter, sender and event arguments, and I'm sure it can be done. Right? So you can do your own stuff. You don't have to use what it does, but by default, this is easy, right? I want to write something for the click method. I don't bother, I do it. But you can do it whatever way you like. So I did a few things. Because click what its default, I double clicked on English button and it created it for me. Devansh asked me, what if you want to create your own? I wrote try to in front of drag enter, which of course I'm not going to even use, but I did an enter. I wrote this name here and I did an enter and it created an empty stub for me. I'm almost positive that if I have the right arguments, let's see, I've given it the right arguments. It needs a method, it needs the sender and event arguments. Oh, there are two now. Okay, doesn't matter. Let's see if it says something. See, it started to show. It just didn't have the right arguments. So everything will show here. You can code there, associate here, write the name here, create an empty template and so on. But now I've messed a lot of things up, right? So if I want to do things, this is what will happen. And just so that you know. So I said, oh, I made a mistake. Okay, no big deal. You made a mistake. So what you usually do is you'll come here and you will remove it. You'll say, that's an extra method I wrote. I mean, in code, you'll just remove it. You'll say, I don't need it. You will remove this method also because this is also something extra. No big thing, but see what has happened. Now, if I go back to my design, I'm going to get errors. It says you removed it, but where you didn't remove the association. You didn't remove that statement. So to go to that statement, I know this is what is causing the problem. I'll remove that statement and I'm okay. There, I'm okay now. So you have to keep in count. You're writing event handlers, events, code is being written. The association was done automatically. So when you remove code, please remove that association also. Remove that event handler, right? Again, come back to your design. If you see any other error, then you again click on it, go there and it takes you to the line, you know what's going wrong, right? And in button English, if I come here, everything, because I removed everything, see, all association is gone. So you have to be careful. So if you write code, if you by chance double click on anything, like it would be foolish to do it, but I mean, it's something that it can just happen. We are new, we are just learning, right? So I double click on my label. We never do anything with the label. So it created a message for me. It created a template for me. I said, oh, that's a mistake. Some of you will not remove that redundant code. I don't want to see redundant code. You made a mistake. All you have to do is remove it here. And when you remove this and you come back to design, you will have an error. Just click on it. And you remove this from here. Remove the association. There, go. Everything is fine now. Back to normal. Right? Back to normal. Okay, so event handlers are just methods, not just, they're just, I mean, I'm saying just method because they are methods that will handle the event when it occurs. And when will it occur? This one says when you go and click on the English button, this is what I want you to do. That's all you are writing. The association, the linking, the wiring, it is called. The wiring of the event handler with the control is done automatically for you when you work this way. When you double click on the button, it is done. It goes in the designer file and it is done for you. Behind the scenes, a delegate, I don't want to say a lot about it because we are just learning, but a delegate is taking care of this code. A delegate is simply a pointer to a method. If you've done C++ or if you've done C, if it makes sense. If not, for now, we'll forget about it. We won't even talk about it. Okay, now before you start coding, the usual, please see that you have your name, date, and comments at the head. Like Java, you can use block for block commenting. You can use your star and Java doc commenting is coming. Sorry, there. You use a star and a slash and a star and a slash. This is your block commenting, like in Java. You can use the 2 single slashes for line commenting. The Java documentation, if you've done it in a previous semester, I'm hoping since you're in semester 3 now, you can do Java documentation also in C#, right? It is done a little different. It is done with 3 slashes. So I'll show you that too. But at the beginning of every code that you submit me, whether in class assignment, whether exam, all I need from you is your name. There is actually, you can do, like you do Java doc at the head also. I can't remember. It's called summary and remarks, I think. So I think if I show it to you, maybe it will do it for itself. No, it hasn't. Okay, it does it in front of methods. Okay, so I want your name so that I can recognize whose code it is. I am not kind of searching from where it came. I need the date, which is just a practice. So whatever it is today, you can simply go short form or whatever. Okay, so this is 19th today. And then more important than anything else, will carry the most marks is the purpose of your script. That's important, right? So what is the purpose of this script? If you've kind of guessed, if you haven't, then the purpose of this script is to basically show the hello world message in English and Spanish, right? That's what I want to do. Remember I said it was a hello world application I'm writing. So I want to show my message in English or Spanish depending upon user input. So when users clicks on English, the message comes up in English. If the user message comes on in Spanish. You can also clear the form. You can also print the form, right? That's what your application does. That's what this application does. So I'll just say prints a message because we don't have to say hello world or whatever, right? The clear button is going to clear the output. There is no input in this case, so I'm only saying output can be cleared and the form can be printed. That's the purpose. That's the purpose of your application. So please don't say in class assignment 1, classwork 1, or assignment 1. I'm not looking for that. I want what does your application do. So grammatically correct, no spelling errors. And if you have some problems, write it in Word or wherever, whatever you like and copy. Okay. This is something hopefully you have learned on your co-op that commenting is necessary. It is necessary if you want to be a programmer. Anybody who hasn't learned that on co-op, many of you were on co-op last semester, right? So wherever you go, this is a must. You can't avoid it. How many of you agree with me? Commenting for programmers is necessary. So how many? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm glad. Right? It is. It's not for you or for me. It is for people who will work on the project with you. So you can say, oh, I know it. I know what I'm doing. I also know what you're doing. But we still comment, right? So there's certain different ways of commenting. Now, this is definitely only for you and me kind of stuff. I want to know what your name is and I want to know what your application does. But when you start coding Java doc comments, or you start coding like I'll show you another way of commenting, that's where it will become important, which is for documentation. Why documentation? Because everybody else should understand what you've done. So other programmers who are working with you on the project, or if you have joined an organization and you're working on somebody's project, or if you come and work on it, it is always maintained. You come back and work on it 2 years, you should know what you've done. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. So this is one way of commenting, block commenting. The other way, whenever I find a way, I'll show you the double slash line comments as they're called. And the third way, hopefully, yeah, there it is. Put 3 slashes before a method, right? These are like your Java doc comments where you give a short description, you mention your params, and you mention your return type. Can you recollect? We had a short description, at param for every parameter in your method, and at return for the return of the method. You don't see it at return here because the return type is void. So as Java doc comments, if you start saying slash double star, it kind of fills it for you. So does this. So let the template be generated first and then put 3 slashes, and it will automatically do it yourself. Right? So I just went the opposite way. I created a template and then I did a triple slash and see summary. What is summary? The short description. What does this method do? This, I mean, we don't call it methods. We basically call them event handlers. But what is it doing? Button English click. The message is displayed in English when the button is clicked. Right? So this is your short description. So summary is your short description. Then come your params. Params means parameters, right? Notice they're using angular brackets. For your information, oh, I should actually do that first. For your information, an XML file is being created for you. Therefore, you see these tags. Like, do you recognize these tags opening the angular brackets? You've seen it in HTML, you've seen in XML, right? Extensible markup language. I have to say that, please keep this for me and I'll show you. So who's the sender? The sender is the English button, right? Again, read a little bit about it. I'm also educating myself on these comments because Java we've been doing for ages, so we know it. For C#, it could be new for you, and so just educate yourself as to how it is written. Grammatically correct, they say start with the capital letter and stuff like that. And what is E? It automatically says these are event arguments, right? But for a button, just for your information, there's nothing, there are no extra arguments that are required, but these are the signatures, so we'll say the event arguments. The arguments for the event in button, for your information, there are no extra ones. So that's your Java doc comments. Okay. Now to kind of create the document file, you'll have to do this. So please go to your project properties and come to your properties. So you can either go from here. If the Solution Explorer was open, we could have done a right click and opened it. So in the project, please go to project and choose your name. It will at the end. It will say properties, the name of your code of your project. Click on it, and under build maybe. Yeah, there it is. Under build, you will put a check mark on XML documentation file. What are you saying? You're saying, please create a documentation file for me. If you don't do this, then those comments are kind of useless. Like you're putting them there, but no help file is being created. So you can now assume that this file will be created. That's its default place. You can change it to wherever you like. I think there is a browse. Yeah, there is a browse in the output path. I leave it there because there is its usual path. So in the bin directory under debug, here under bin, under the debug, I have not yet done it. I haven't yet saved it, but this is where it is going. An XML file will be created for you. Okay, there is where it will be created. Okay, so how to do that? Go to project. Oops, what did I do? Oh, I think I drag and drop. I did something, right?
Just open a new tab.
Maybe close this and should be okay. Yeah, okay, there it is, right? Oh, I opened this tab. Okay, so go to your properties, go to your project, go to properties, it's the last one, then go to build, and under build, check XML documentation file. You want to create an XML documentation file. Have you heard of XML, extensible markup language? right? It's called a language, but it is a markup language like HTML, but it is a language that has now been used for ages for data transfer. It's a very neat and clean, human readable code, right? So if you wanted to create help files, like Java has help files, even when you go to C# and you look for a class and a method, notice how it has description and everything. It's created through here. So if you if you want to, and that's what I'm teaching you, you check this, and now something called lesson 1 Tuesday.xml will be created in your yet, because we haven't done it yet. Let's save this, and now you can close this if you want. Okay, so these comments that you're seeing here will go in your XML file, right? These are, you can kind of, why do I see? Oh, it is saying that you forgot your XML comments at the head, right? That is what I was trying, but I can't remember what one is called, summary, and the other is called remarks or something. It isn't helping me. I don't want to kind of write it myself, but one is called summary and the other is called, if I'm not mistaken, is called either remarks or something of that nature. I'll kind of copy it here. That's what it is saying is missing. And then you will put this purpose inside the summary. That is where you will put the purpose, right? Yes.
This is the summary of the whole project.
The whole project, yes. Like in Java doc, don't you put at the head, you put a description, then you put at author, at version, and so on. This is what it is, right? I forget what is the other one called, because I've never typed it myself, right? And I don't know why it's not giving me. I think it's called remarks. So that's what this green squiggly is saying. Okay, this is saying you've forgotten your comments. Missing XML comment for publicly visible type or member form world. Oh, show potential fixes. Oh, okay. So show potential fixes should come here. Oh, of all the things to happen. There was a potential fix, and that would have helped me if and when it will. Let's see if I can do it. This is ridiculous.
I found the summary in the remarks.
Summary under?
Like it is like we.
Yeah, I copied it from there, but there's another one also that I was looking for, which I forget. I copied it from there. There was a potential fix, so it was automatically closed during the recover selected files. As any ID, it was giving me help, and I. Okay, so if I go here,
There was summary.
assembly and what? Come on. Can't do this to me. Okay, let's try it from here then. Okay. Are we good? Okay. Okay, I'll look at what it was, but yeah, it is definitely summary and something. I can't remember what, but it is. So if you don't know, you can always go. I'll try it once more, last time. Okay, it has something to do with this then. Anytime I try to fix it, that's what it does. The things to happen. So there must be something wrong with my. So I'm not going to try it, okay? I'm not going to say fix it for me. I'll look at it afterwards when you work. Okay, so let's start to write our code. What do you want to do when the English button is clicked? So ignore that if you're having it. But what do you want to do when the English button is clicked? You tell me logically. You want to display a message. Where?
Text field.
There was no text field. We haven't used text field. That was a label. Yes, on the label. Right? Yes.
Can I get your key number?
Look for me, Anju Chawla. Just search for me, Anju Chawla. Right? Okay. Okay, so if you wanted to put, though I haven't, the message is displayed in English. I've already told what the method does. It is as simple as this. Now you'll say, I can't remember the name. Here is where the three-lettered abbreviations come handy. As soon as you say LBL, it will show you all your labels. Then you can make an educated guess. So that's another use of using that three letters. You can see all your labels together. Second reason why I use the three-lettered abbreviation. If it was a label, if it was a different name, like something, then this is just easier. The IntelliSense makes it easier. So choose whatever convention you want to choose. Though for your information, there is a fourth class which says, why are we even putting the name of the control? And I agree actually. Why? Because if, for example, I want to change my label from a label to a text box, I'll have to change its name also. I'll have to go, if it was called LBL, whatever, now I'll have to call TXT, whatever. Why should we do that? Right? In object-oriented programming, we don't say, that's why we say, don't give them meaningful names, but you don't want to change names everywhere in your code. The whole purpose is lost. So I agree with that group of people that are saying, why do we even need to put the name of the control? Believe it or not, a couple of years back, 2012, 2013, when Visual Studio came, they also wanted you to put the type. If it was an integer, you said, for example, age integer. If it was a floating point number, you said average float. Ridiculous. Like anytime I want to change its type, I have to change its name also. So that convention has stopped, thankfully. But this still goes on, right? Putting either the three-lettered word or putting the whole name of the control is still going on. I wouldn't even put it. But anyway, I mean, I can't create my own conventions, so I have to follow. So in the label message, so you just click on it. Now I'm going to look at one of its properties. In its text property, so you can, if you know it, you can just type it. Otherwise, IntelliSense is always with you, is assign the value. Some people don't like IntelliSense at all. You can shut it off if you like. Somewhere in options, you can say, I don't want IntelliSense. So the first new feature of Visual Studio 2017, if you have worked before, is these lines. There are now opening and closing brackets are connected with lines. So it kind of makes it easy for the user. You can even do this. You can still do this. It will kind of highlight the other parentheses, but now they've started using lines. That is one of the new features of 2017. There are 3 new features. I'll show them as I encounter them. This is the only one we can see right now. So what do you want to do? You want to put a string in it. Text is a text property. What have you said? You've said, I want to say hello world in that label. It will do it. That's it. So text is written with double quotes. Text is written with double quotes. Right? Now you can start writing your second method here yourself. Or as I said, since we are new to the environment and not new, more than new, it's easy. Double click on it and write whatever you did before. So I can now kind of copy. The message is displayed in English. Here I'll say the message is displayed in Spanish. The sender is notice how the type of the sender is object. I've already mentioned this. Object is like your object class in Java. Object is at the head of all classes. Mother of all classes in C# is object. So you're basically saying my sender is an object. It could be a button. It could be a text box. It could be a radio button, a checkbox. Therefore, it's just object. That's why it is just object. So basically, it will do the casting when it sees that the button is a sender. So here the sender is the Spanish button. And the E are the event arguments. Not much we can write in these methods because these are so kind of, event handlers are just event handlers. They will always have 2 arguments. They'll always have a name. Okay. And again, name you can change. I'll stick to the names. I don't find anything wrong with this name. Spanish_click is making entire sense to me. Okay. Now, what do you want to do? You want to do the same thing here. But of course, now any Spanish guy, I should have said Portuguese because we have Portuguese people here. But anyway, let's say, you can look it up. I think it's something called something like this. I can't remember. The other section did find it for, HOLA. Okay, so wrong. Something I was near. There? There you go. There. Okay, so that's what you want to do when the button is Spanish. So that's in Spanish. You can choose whatever. I'm just showing you how to write code. This is your first program, so it's easy, right? My second button event handler has been done. And its association, its wiring is automatically done in the designer because I double clicked on it. Plus also, this has been associated. If you kind of look at it and open the properties, If you go to events, see this link has been made. So if you do the right thing, the things are put in place. So you don't have to bother. So in the beginning, you could do it this way. And then when you get a little more accustomed to it, then you should be able to kind of do whatever. You are programmers. You should know what's going on. Okay. So because I double clicked on it, an empty method was created for me. An empty event handler was created for me. The name of the event handler was pre-chosen, and that name got associated here. It linked this. So the link that you see here is now written in code in your designer.cs file. Remember, designer.cs file is the code for your design. So this link that you see visually here has been coded in your designer.cs file. So things are happening everywhere. Okay, so you just have to know what is happening. Now let's click on the clear button. What would you like to do on clear? As the name suggests, you would like to, as the name suggests, you would like to the message, right? So clear the contents or clear the message, whatever you like. We usually don't take the names of, we never use names. We don't, the user doesn't know what is label message. I don't want to say clear the contents of label message. I'll just say clear the message, right? That's all I'm saying. And then of course the param kind of remains the same, the clear button. This makes sense. This is just normal. I'm just saying the clear button, like I'm not calling it what I called it there, clear BTN. I'm not doing that. I'm just writing it in normal English. And here are the event arguments. Okay, now what do you want to do? You want to clear that message. So now with labels, there is no clear method, right? Controls will have clear method. Classes have methods. So classes have properties, which are your attributes, your instance variables, which we've used, .text, for example. Classes also have methods, which we haven't yet used any, but it would be nice if you would have a clear method with labels, which we don't. Why? Because the use of a label usually is just for like headings and all that stuff, only to show something. You don't clear your labels as you do with text boxes. So next program, we will start using text boxes than labels. For here, we will stick to labels. Also in your assignment, please stick to labels. So the only way I can clear is I take the text property and I assign it this. That's one way of doing it. Empty string. I assign it the empty string. The other more clear way would be to use this. So string is a class, right? Empty is not a method. It doesn't have that, but empty is a special attribute of your string, like your length of the array, right? And S is capital. So this is a static variable of the class. So you go name of the class dot name of the variable, as you do with arrays, dot length when you use it. So this is another way of clearing your. So you could use that double quotes. It's up to you. I prefer to use this because this makes more sense. String.empty. You're just saying assign the empty string to the label. Job done for clear. That's what you want to do in clear. Let's write exit. I'll come to print in a minute. So again, this button just closes the application. Now there are a couple of ways to do it. Again, I'll show you and you can choose whatever you like. It will depend upon the application you're writing. Because this is our first one, it's not a big deal at all. We are going easy with it. Okay, now for our project, we only have one form. There is only one form, but I mean, that won't last for long. Within a couple of weeks, you will start writing a project that has many forms, multi-form project. Now, if this is the only form that I have, and it is the only form, I can simply say this dot close. And since this is the only form that is running or in the project, when I say this dot close, the form closes and the application also closes. Both things will happen, okay? This is one way of doing it. This means the current object, right? The current object is your form and you're saying close it. That's one way of doing it. Another way that you will find handy when you start writing applications that have more than one forms is the exit method. You could do it this way. Of course, not both ways. You could do it this way also. The difference is this. When you say this dot close, it's only closing the current form. If it is a multi-form application, the one that is active is closed, but the application is still running. When you go application.exit, whether it is a single form application, whether it is a multi-form application, the application closes. So for me, they're both the same, at least in this project. I only have one form. So keep in mind, you can use either of them, you should know the difference. This dot form is not actually terminating the application as per se. It's just closing the form. Because my project only has one form and there is nothing else, you close the form, application is done, it will do. So choose whatever you like, okay? In future, of course, application exit will make more sense. Will make more sense when I have a multi-form project. So whatever you like. Both of them they're redundant. So choose one. So I'll keep it here.
So if you have like multi-forms and if you just want to close the
current form, the one that is active, you will
we have to use this dot.
Yes, or the name of the form dot close, not this, because this means the current. So you will say form one dot close or output form dot close or input form dot close. So that will close that particular form, will deactivate it, but the application is still running. There may be other forms that are still there. You will learn how to do that. But yes, the close method only closes the current form. And the exit method exits the application. So there is a difference, right? There is a difference. Okay. Now the last, the print form. Now with print form, you have to do a couple of things. Oh, with print forms, you have to do a couple of things. Please open your toolbox. And I am hoping, and if it's gone again, please see that you reinstall it, though it should not go, it's your own laptops. Under Power Packs, I would like you to get me a print form object. Double click on print form. You will notice that a print form object comes in the component tray. This is called the component tray. That's strange. Why is it not showing me the properties? There it is. So what have I done? I have, before I can write the code for that, what does this button do? It will print the form for you. You can send it to a printer if you like. You can see a preview of it if you like. You can put it in a file. You can print to file also. You can do 3 options. And those 3 options, I'll just show you where they are. But before you can do that, you need a print form object in your component tray. So it doesn't have a visual effect. You don't see it on your form. Do you see this on your form? No. But it has a visual effect here. It's sitting in your component tray. If you click on it, please notice it has a name. You needn't change it. It's a good enough name. And I won't be like, it's a good enough name, print form. There's nothing bad in it. It is a document. It's a property of it. You'll see when I do more. But I want to draw your attention to the print action. You can print to a file. You can print to preview, or you can print to printer. I'll stick to the print to preview because I don't want to send it to my printer. Right? So I've changed the print action. You could have changed it in code also. You could have. I just changed it here. I said the print action for this print form object is print preview. Right? That's what I've done. Now, how do I associate this print form 1 with that print form button? They needn't be called same. I just by chance called it print form, but this will always be called print form. This you could have called only print also. Double click on it. What does it do? It doesn't print. I've said preview. Yeah, you can say displayed in preview, or you can say is previewed, or whatever. In preview mode, you can say whatever makes sense to you, as long as it is. That's what it does. Right? And so the sender is your the print form button. That's what I called it. I mean, that's what it says on my form. And these are the event arguments. And again, notice it's a private method. All these event handlers are private method. Makes sense. They're not public. Why? Because they're associated with the form, directly with the form. They have to be private. Nobody will call this event handler from another form or another project. Doesn't make sense at all. Event handlers are directly associated with the control. So they are private methods. It doesn't make sense making them public at all. And here, all I have to say is, okay, now I forget, but it should come back as soon as I say dot print, maybe. There it is. I think so. I think I'm almost right, but here, you call the print method of that print form 1 object. This is where the association is done. So you need a print form object that will print the form for you. Is there a question?
Yeah, how do you create that print form object?
Oh, by double clicking on your toolbox. Shouldn't be. So do you see a power packs that you installed last? Did you click on the button? No, you don't have to. You could be anywhere. Why are they grayed out? Anybody else having a problem with their print power packs?
Is it possible if the power pack goes away? I'm not able to see the power pack in the toolbox.
Oh, they shouldn't go away because this is your laptop. You know what I mean? Like, unless you delete them. Install them again. It will take a minute. Why are they grayed out? Nothing. I don't see any sense of not they being grayed out, and I don't think you have to make the form active for because it doesn't make sense. It's just a tool. Worst case, you may have to remove them, delete the tab, and reinstall it. Remember how we did it? We created a new tab, then we said choose items. You remember from last week? We did a right click. We said I want to add a tab. We added a tab, and then in the tab we chose the items. So if by any chance, and I don't see why it should happen, if your power packs are gone, just install them again. But if they are grayed out, maybe delete that tab and try it again. See if that works. Like, I haven't seen them grayed out ever. You know what I mean? Like, you mean the whole toolbox is grayed out? Oh, so that's something else then. Oh, so okay. Let's if everything is safe, close and open up Visual Studio again. The whole toolbox is something else altogether then. Okay, so that's a different problem then, please. Try that if that will help. If you don't see your power packs, something went wrong when you installed it last week or whenever. So just reinstall them and see. I did have that problem when I installed Visual 2017 first. Then once I did it, then I was okay. So maybe there was something that I didn't do right and you didn't do right. I don't know. But it did go for me also the first time. But that grayed out is not the power pack problem, and then that's another problem. See if you can close it and try it again and see if it's not sure. Is your design tab open? Is your design open? Right? So now all my buttons are ready. My tab order is ready. Everything is ready. Before we leave this form, I would like you to do two more things for me. One will be effective, one will not be, but I want you to see what those properties are. Choose your form. I would like to go on the form property. Right? So choose the form. You will notice that in the properties window, you will see the name of your form. I would like to bring your attention to two more properties of a form which always should be set. Again, these are in the common instructions. One of them will be very effective today and one of them will not work. It will act as an enter. Look at a property called accept button here. Click on its right hand side and choose button clear from it. I'll just in a minute tell you what it is. So I have changed the property called accept button for the form. It is not for a control, it is for the form. So please see you click somewhere on the form, not on any of the controls. What does accept button property mean? This property says that if you use the enter key on your keyboard, it is same as clicking the clear button. That's what it means. So what have you done? So now you can clear your form in three ways. Click on the clear button. Do an Alt L because L is a shorthand key and press the enter button. Now I'll show you why it's useless in my project at least, because I'll show you in a minute why it's useless, but you should know about it because you will need it immediately next week, for example, right? And the other property that I would like you to change is called, which will be effective today too, is the cancel button. And the cancel button is equivalent to saying, what do you want to do when the user presses the escape button? So enter and escape have been given event handlers. That's what you've done. So the accept button and the cancel button associate the enter key and the escape key with two event handlers. And how did you do that? Connection, guys, please. How do you do that connection? You went to the accept and the cancel button properties and you chose the button whose event handler you want to associate it. So now the clear button, the Alt L and the enter key will all three do the same jobs. The exit button, the Alt X and the escape will all do the same functions. That's the meaning of the accept button and the escape button. I'll show you how they work. and why the accept button is useless in our project today, right? So tab order, everybody knows how to do it. We know how to take care of accept and these buttons. You know how to write those triple comments now. So everything that you're learning, you will have to you have to show me in the assignment.
So accept will close the application.
Except I've added with clear. What have I associated it with? Accept button. Clear. So it will do whatever the clear button does. Okay. What will the escape do? It will do whatever the exit button does. That's what will close. I've linked them. So why you will say user for user, right? Anything that can make user interface easy. That's our main aim. Okay. Okay. Now run the code for me. Now run your project, which is an F5. Okay. And now see if it works. And when you see it works, then if there is something that is amiss, we will do that. And I know something is amiss. I'll show you and you can tell me what to do. Okay. So this is how it is looking right now. You won't see the shorthand keys till you press the Alt button. It's a bug in Visual Basic which has been there forever. Even in Windows, do you see any shorthand keys here? No, till you press the Alt key. So it's there and it will always remain there. Okay. So now when I press the English button, my hello world is coming in the corner. Now, if I want to make it appear a little bigger because it's a message and in the center of the label heading, a label message, I can do it. I just have to change a property. No big deal. When I do Spanish, this is what is happening. When I do clear, this is what is happening. You've written code now. It's working, right? When you do print form, this is what is happening. A preview of your form, which you can always send to the printer if you want, right? That's what we did. And now the exit will close it. But what I want to show you is if I do an English and I said that the accept button, your enter key is the same as clear, but it doesn't work. Enter is not working. Why? Because here the enter key is working like choosing English. So here it's the accept button is useless for me because I only have buttons on my form. So where will it come handy? You will see where it will come handy. But will the escape work? Try escape. There, the form closes. Why? I had linked the escape button with the exit button and cancel. Yes. So cancel button is automatically the exit button. Cancel button means the exit button and accept button means the enter button. Okay. The enter button, the enter on your keyboard. So the escape key is working because escape just said exit. So it went there. But the accept button is not working for the simple reason that if something is highlighted, and I do an enter, it's like clicking it. If I do enter on a button, it's like clicking it. So the clear doesn't work properly. Only for this, you will see when it will come handy. But I want you to know these two important properties because they will have to be set every time in every assignment and exam. Accept. Right at the top, accept button. Associate it with clear, though it will not work. Right? Now, how do I get this message in the middle? So exit is also working. My exit button is also working. I've checked that also. So all your buttons should work. Now go to the properties of this heading, of this message. Go to the property that has something to do with, so two things. One, we have to do the text align. Make it center. Notice it was coming at the top left. Make it center. And then the second not important, I want to change the font. So go to its font property. And in the font property, we'll just make it bold and we'll give it a bigger size so that it looks better. Right? You're printing a message on the screen. It was coming in the right-hand side corner, wasn't even visible. That's another one. Also, if you want, you can also change the forecolor. So choose a system, or maybe custom will be good. We'll choose custom. I'll show you when system comes handy. We'll usually use custom. Web is for web, but color is color. I've changed the forecolor. Forecolor means the color of what appears. So you have a back color, you have a forecolor. Okay, you can put images also if you like, background image property. There should be, maybe not in labels. It depends on where it is. Here I see a back color. I don't see a background image. Background image is a property that is usually associated with the form. So here I got an empty one. I double clicked on my form. I made a mistake, but there it is. There is a background image property. I don't have, if there's none, but you can always give it a background image to your form also. Right? So by mistake, I double clicked on my form and see what happened. A load method was created for me. What do you want to do when you load the form? Please do not give me crap code. I don't want to see it. If you've made a mistake like I have, remove it, go to your design, remove the connection. And it's not big. It's not a big deal at all, right? Remove the connection. Remove the wiring. It's called wiring. Okay, so that you invent wiring. Okay, and let's run it again now. And let's see, has it improved how it looked? Better. It could be bigger size because my box is so big. My label, my message is so big. You could go a bigger font also. There it is, running and up. Right now, if you want to just run something, I mean, not run it from here, but from outside, from your code, now you can do a few things. You will notice that there will be an exe file. If I click on it, that runs too. So though I will be asking you to submit the complete project to me, the whole thing, in future, I may just say when the projects become bigger, I'll just say, give me the exe file and the code file. So this is the exe file you will give me and I can run it. I just need the framework. And the code file is whatever .cs file. So I may only be asking two things of you and it will run. It's just a framework. So to run somebody's, so if you sell your application to a client, the client needn't have Visual Studio. He just or she just needs the framework in which an application can be run, right? So you would give your exe file to that person. Okay, but that person does need a framework. I have one because I have Visual Studio. They don't need the whole complete Visual Studio. So it can be run using this exe file. And the XML file is here. So I haven't looked at it. To be very truthful, I just created it in front of you, but it's just an XML file. I can explain it to you. I know what it looks like. So notice it's like a HTML file. They have tags. So notice it has a doc tag. So it will have a starting doc tag. It will have a ending doc tag for document. Model DOM. Do you recognize the word DOM when you do web applications? Document object model. That's what it has created. So anything that you've done here, notice member name, lesson Tuesday form button English click. Here is your summary. Here is your param. So each one has been given a member. So these are basically called, these tags that you see here, it's called markup language because like HTML, it has markups, but these markups are not predefined. Like in HTML, you have head, you have body, you have allies, you so on. Those are fixed. That's all you can use. In an XML file, you can use any tags you like, but those tags have a meaning. And if you kind of read like if you haven't seen an XML file before, makes complete sense if you know what it is. Doc is for document. Assembly is saying what is the compiled version. You can ignore it, but notice further. What members does it have? It has a member called English click, another member called Spanish click, all those methods that you've written. Inside each of them, there is a summary, there is a path. Closing, opening, closing, opening, closing, opening. Now, if I give this file to somebody else, of course, a normal user cannot read it, but a programmer can. He or she can make head and tail out of all this. But this XML file now needs to be converted into a document, like a normal document file, as in Java docs, like you see that. Right? So I still have to learn that process. Okay. So XML is okay. XML, because I've done XML, I know what it is. But now how to convert an XML file to a proper documentation file so that normal users can read it. If you go on the web and you look for something, let's simply say maybe, I'll look for XML documentation. That's how I'll kind of find about it, right? I'll in terms of a document file or XML file or something like XML C# only. Oops. I'm positive I'll get quite a few things. So here it is, XML document class. Here somewhere it will tell me how it has to be converted into a normal help file. Right, so I'll have to look it up how to do it. But what it will do is this. So if I was looking for something like, what have we done? Button, C#. I'm just kind of. So will it give me a good help? Is that where the help comes, or is it something like? Let's see. No, this is something else, right? So if something that you've seen in Java docs is what gets created in the. Sorry? They have some software. I think I was reading, they had mentioned too, there was something that was free and there was something that you could download. Style Studio, right. So you'll have to convert this XML file into proper human readable documentation. This is not human readable. We know that it is not. When I say human readable, I mean common user, right? Programmers can understand this, but that's not something you would give to a user and say, here, it won't help him. right? So there's a process, there's software. I was reading about it, but I haven't tested it yet. So unless I test it, I can't show it to you. I'm sure there must be something inside Visual Studio also. I don't know. I haven't gone through the process because this documentation is a little new to me. So I have to go through it and see what is required and what has to be converted, right? So a student had asked me or had mentioned it, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. If we have Java comments in Java, what do we have in C#? And so that's what I'm trying to do. But at least we know how to do it. We know we have to set that XML file on. Only then will the XML file get created. Otherwise, no XML file gets created. And then now the third process is to convert this XML file into proper documentation, right? So it's a process. I'll find out for you. And of course, you can too. It's not a big deal, but just time. So that takes care of what we needed to do in our first week, second week. Yes.
Like the event handler doesn't make any sense to me. Like in the XML file.
Oh, it's not the event handler. All it is telling you is the description and the parameters and the return types of that. Nothing else.
Each and every method we have just written like the event argument.
Yeah, because there was nothing else in this. That's what I say. In this, oh, you mean no, you don't see that?
No,
oh,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I don't see any.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you something about the param. You're right. It's giving you the description, right? Oh, maybe I missed it here, did I, in my English? Because the Spanish one is showing it. The clear is showing it.
But what is the importance of writing that? Like,
in an event handler, not much, because every event handler will have only these two parameters, the sender and the event arguments. But if it was in a method, you were writing a method, then it would start making sense, right? If you write your own normal anything which is not an event handler, you will write your own methods, then they will start making sense. Okay, then they will start making sense.
Whenever you get a minute, I can't find that exit button.
Okay.
So when it's ready, you just order or...
Okay, here it is. If you go to design, go to form. There is a property called cancel button.
Yeah, I got that one.
Yeah, and then the oh, you mean the enter one?
Yeah.
There it is, accept button.
Oh, accept button. I thought it was underneath for enter button.
Oh, the A accept button. Not accept button.
There we go.
Okay, there, right? Any other question?
on break, if you mind pushing GitHub, I got lost.
Oh, you got lost. Okay, no problem at all.
Appreciate that.
No problem. You can stop me anytime and kind of say, just put it, because I can't remember, right? So this is our final one. Commit all. And then I think you should, again, okay. And then say sync. And then say push. I still see a 1 here. Oh, there we are. Okay. So please remind me anytime during the class. I tend to forget because I'm just in my own world, right? Anything else? Yes.
Please one more. Show us how to operate the form because my power pack was not there.
Okay, so power pack was not there. Open up your power pack, double click on print form. Okay, once you double click on print form, you will see that it appears here at the bottom in your component tray. Click on it, go to property and change the print action to print to preview if you want, right? Once you do that, double click on your print form button and just say print form one.print. That's it, right? So the main thing is to create that object print form one.
So the print form one is the class which is already inbuilt in this?
Print form one is an object of a particular added class, right? So therefore we had to install it. It isn't in the C# library, but we had to install it. Yeah, but that's the concept remains the same, right? The concept remains the same. Yep. So we are using, so it's an add-on because I don't think people now use print form a lot. I think therefore it doesn't come in Visual Studio, but it comes as a power pack. Because if you see, there was and lines and so on. Print form was the only not important one, something you'll use, which you can also use by doing print screen. Right, so therefore it is not available. Any other questions on what we have done? Okay, so now we are ready to do our first in-class assignment. I'm going to put it on Blackboard. Please go through it completely and correctly. Everything is there, rubric is there. Don't miss out. If you miss out, I can't help it, right? You can take a break of 20 minutes if you like, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever works for you. You start working on it. When you are done, you call me. I come and mark it. You have your mark straight away and your feedback. I'll just post that mark on Blackboard whenever I have time. If I'm not able to mark everybody's work today, don't panic. I'll mark it the next time you're working on your second assignment. Okay? But it needs to be submitted on Blackboard by 5 p.m. today as a zipped file. What will you zip for me? The main project, wherever you have sitting it, the main project, you will do a right click and you will zip it and send it to me, and it tells you have to attach your name to it. Right? So don't go and see what does she want. Don't go inside and see what does she want this. Nope. Wherever you had created the project, there will be a project by that name. Right click, zip, send it to me on Blackboard. Okay? Irrespective of whether I mark it or I don't mark it in class, it has to be submitted. If I don't mark it, I'll do it next week. You will download it for me and I'll mark it. Okay. Come again?
Like if we got it from your GitHub,
You're not submitting me what I have done. You're submitting me what you will do.
Oh,
okay? No, I don't want what I have done. I want what you have done. So I'll put that on. So that takes care of today's lesson.